Soul Finder podcast. Kathy D. Carter, Soul Finder, KathyDCarter.com. And in the last episode, you had me take a look at my childhood a little bit. You do that quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And you brought me back to memories I had of being probably between the ages of 8 and 13.
Okay.
And my parents bought a station wagon.
Uh-huh.
And I always wanted to sit in what we call, and I think a lot of people own station wagons, called it the way, way back.
Right.
That back seat that faced out. It didn't face forward, it faced backwards.
Behind you.
And not only was it a little bit smaller, so none of my brothers wanted to sit back there,
Oh.
but they didn't want to sit back there because it was kind of freaky looking backwards.
Right.
So I had that whole row
To yourself.
to myself. And quite frankly, I think that I may have had a lot of my formative years
in that back
sitting
seat.
in that back seat because they really weren't paying attention to me.
Right.
Didn't have to wear a seatbelt. Mm-hmm. Could do basically whatever I wanted.
Right.
Dad couldn't reach around and slap me.
Because you was too far.
Yeah. I was a genius. I was a genius to sit back there.
So you got your freedom by being in the back seat.
Yeah.
What else did you do? What do you remember? What pops up?
I remember one trip we took, and it was really the only vacation we ever took. And part of the vacation, we went to Mexico, to Juarez. Now, it's probably the most scared I've ever been in my life.
Okay.
Because I'm scared to go to foreign countries, always have been.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Big time. That may be another.
Probably a past lifetime deal, but go ahead.
But this particular trip, I'm probably 11 years old, sitting on the way back.
Right.
We were staying in El Paso and took a little trip across the border. If you've ever been to those border towns, especially if you're a kid from America, first of all, back then in the 70s, you were taught and you believed that America by far is the greatest country on the face of the earth, the USA, which it may or may not be.
Right.
But back then, there was no doubt. There was no doubt. I mean, you've been taught that your whole life. You've been taught other countries, like if you go to Russia, then you're basically a prisoner, which you're not. Mm-hmm. But that's what you're taught.
Right. Right.
So the minute we cross the border, I'm already on alert, looking around. And we're going about 20 miles an hour.
Is everybody else in the car scared?
No.
Nothing's been said.
Not that I know of.
Nothing's been said.
No, I will tell you, my twin brother, this was pretty good. I'll tell you a story about him on the same trip. But all of a sudden, I see a Mexican resident. I don't know if you're allowed to call them Mexicans or not these days. But he's on a bike, and he's pedaling as fast as he can to try and catch up with us. Mm. Now, I don't know what carjacking is at the time. Mm-hmm. I just know this is bad news. Mm-hmm. This dude is making a beeline for us. And he finally catches up with us. And I thought for sure we're being thrown in jail or kidnapped or whatever. And it turns out that he was just, I guess he was a runner for a flea market that they had in Juarez. And he was telling the Americans across the border, come to this flea market. But he catches up with us and knocks on the window. Doesn't pound on the window, but not. And I'm scared to death in that back seat.
He's knocking on the back window?
No, he's knocking on the driver's side window. So that scared me to death. And I was the one that got to see because I got to watch him.
Come up. Mm-hmm. And you never yelled out that somebody's you was froze?
Shocked silent. Because I knew it was bad news. My twin, later on that day, we checked into a hotel. And my parents, no one in that car knew how scared I was. Later on that day, we checked in a hotel in El Paso, and the hotel was a Howard Johnson's. You remember those? It had like an 8-foot fence with razor wire
At the top.
on top. And my brother flipped out and was going to refuse to stay there. And I was trying to talk sense into him, saying, dude, this is the safest place ever. Look at that razor wire. And his logic was great. He said, there's a reason for that razor wire. So it was a very traumatic trip for the Friedman twins.
Oh, my.
But so that was like one of the memories I have of that back seat. But the other memories I have were not specific, but just like that was my domain.
So when you think of it, what do you feel?
Like I owned the back seat.
And that gave you what feeling?
Ownership.
So that ownership of the back seat gave you what feeling?
Control.
Okay.
Control. It gave me time alone in a car full of people. It gave me time alone in a car with two brothers that all they want to do is mess with you. Just like brothers do. You know, they just wanted to play. I didn't feel, I was always above that. Yeah.
You were above that?
I was above that. I was a very cocky little kid.
Were you now?
Oh, yes. Yes. Very cocky little kid.
So would you say it fed your ego that you had the whole back seat
Oh, my
to
gosh,
yourself?
yes.
And that's better than getting the driver's,
Even though I
the
didn't have to,
passenger seat.
even though I didn't have to fight for it,
Well, that's what I was
but-
getting at.
it fed my ego that I was comfortable enough.
This was yours.
Yeah, this is mine. I can't even imagine if I had iPads and Walkman and if I had a whole entertainment center back there that I could have had access to.
Kept you busy.
Because back then it was just,
So
you sat in the car.
what things did you observe, though, out the back window?
All the other cars,
And that
all
was
the
it?
traffic.
Is that how you learned different cars?
I love to drive. I would, even to this day, if I had the time to drive somewhere rather than fly,
You'll
I would drive every time. Now, I might take a bus or a train. I
Is
like
that
seeing
because
things.
of your fear
I like-
of flying?
No,
Okay.
I like seeing things.
So what do you see on road trips? What do you see?
I see things people don't generally see,
Such as?
such as I'll say, gosh, I feel like this is just
We're just
all
talking.
about me. Yeah, it is all about me. But I'll see like a home in the middle of nowhere and wonder how those people get there. You know, how do they live? Do they enjoy being out here all by themselves? Because I think I would.
Have you ever lived out?
No,
So you've always lived in the city?
I've always lived in the city.
Oh.
I've never lived on more. I've never lived on a piece of land that you could put a goat on, let alone a horse. Does that make sense? Why I just said that?
Yeah.
I live in regular houses, and I'll see things like, you know, you'll see the house in the middle of nowhere
Right.
and wonder how and why.
Would they build there?
Or you'll see, I hesitate to call it a ghost town, but a town that's at its peak, and now is on. It's
Whatever
either completely faded out, or it's on its way out, and you'll wonder how long will that town last? How's it lasting now? How are these people making their money? What will it take for them to leave? I wonder.
So you were more
Inquisitive.
life questions
Yeah.
that you would ask about what you were seeing as
Yeah.
you drove or rode along.
Where the people get their groceries. There's not a drive-through close to them?
how they survive without the
They can't get their
drive-thru.
number 2 combos.
Right. Well, there is something to be said about people that have grown up in the country as opposed to people that's grown up in the city.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely different. Huge.
And I think in a lot of ways it's different in a great way.
Some would say
Now, I
that.
haven't experienced it, so I can't.
Right. I think that it's good for people to experience both. It's just like anything else. If you haven't experienced it, it's hard for you to conceive it in your mind.
Yes.
It's hard for you to understand.
You see what you want to see.
Yeah. Yeah. You make it up to be something you can comprehend, but if you haven't experienced it, can you really comprehend it?
And you see the movies where people grow up in the country, and the first thing they want to do when they turn 18
Is get to the
is move
city.
to the city.
Right.
And I can understand that. I think there's probably a lot more of that per capita than people that grow up in the city and want to move to the country.
Well, true, but I think that can also be because the people that grow up in the city never get exposed to the country.
Yeah.
Do they? Much?
No.
Unless they
Depending
make it
on
a point.
Where they go to college, maybe,
Yeah, true.
or who they make friends with.
That might have a place they go see it.
They grew up in the sticks.
So you made the comment that you think it's better to have grown up in the city than the country.
I don't know. Did I say that?
I don't know. You said something to the effect of something about city and country.
I think that in a lot of ways, I'm fascinated. If I had kids,
Yes.
I'd want them to grow up in the country.
Oh, you would?
Yeah.
Even though you've never been in the country,
Even though I've never been there.
you would
I know
take your
what goes
kids
on
to
in
the
city.
country.
I know what goes on in the city.
Okay, good point.
I think it's probably a misconception, but I have this feeling that a kid can hurt himself, like physically, a lot more in the country, but get in less trouble.
But less trouble. Probably not true. Now, it might be easier to get in trouble in the city. More convenient, not as much space to travel, maybe.
Well, I think there are things you can do in the country that would get you in trouble in this. Fireworks. A teenager in the country, even though he's not supposed to, can set up fireworks,
Right.
which could hurt him,
Could.
but he's not going to get in trouble.
Right.
Whereas in the city, he's going to get in trouble.
Okay. What else do you think of that they can do?
All sorts of stuff like that. A little bit more mischief without. Here's what I would worry about if I'm a parent. And we get in these parenting conversations.
Yes.
What I would worry about my kid is not that he's going to make mistakes. My kid's going to make mistakes. Every kid makes mistakes. Every human makes mistakes. Every parent makes mistakes. My concern wouldn't be making the mistake. My concern would be being able to recover from that mistake. Meaning, don't let a stupid instantaneous decision that you make at midnight on a Friday night impact your entire future. And I think there's less chance of that happening in the country than there is in the city. That may be a misconception, but my thought process is I can get in less legal trouble in the country than I can in the city. And I think a lot of people, this can be a liberal point of view, but a lot of people, a lot of teenagers, they get caught in the system. That's exactly what they get caught into. They're not bad kids.
Right.
They made a mistake.
Right.
They get caught in the system, and that turns them into.
The cycle of that.
And I don't blame the system. It's just the way it is.
Right.
In the country, You do something stupid. You deal with it and move on. At least that's my maybe misconception.
So, what do you think the advantages to having grown up in the city are over the country?
Culture.
Okay.
Exposure to new things. Big time.
Have you seen people that came from the country? Do you base it on that?
Yes. But there's kind of a charming innocence too. But that doesn't mean you can't get in trouble
Right.
in the country. But it's just my perception is you can get out of trouble quicker in the country, and you can not get caught as
easy.
Yeah.
Or caught at all, you think?
And the people that grew up in the country, I went to college in Nacogdoches, Texas, which is in the country, East Texas, and it's got a pretty good mix, diversity of city and country people. And I always liked hanging out with the country people. The people that grew up in their high school had 58 people that graduated in their class. Just because the stories they would tell about things they would do growing up. You know, we had stories too. But I always liked those, we played chicken on the tractor stories.
Yeah, that is mischief.
Yeah.
That's definitely maybe not getting in trouble if they don't get caught.
But they could get hurt.
So what do you think the advantages of living in the country are for a kid? You said you would take yours there.
A kid like me could live in the country because I don't need a lot of outside, what's the word I'm looking for?
Stimulus?
Good word. That's exactly the word I'm looking for. I don't need the lights or the big buildings or anything like that. I can create my own fun. I don't need a lot of people. As a matter of fact, I was texting. It's probably another episode or another counseling session. I was texting a woman today who I've pretty much cut out of my life, and she didn't understand why I've cut her out of my life when I haven't cut other people out of my life for doing the same things. And I had to explain to her, look, I have very, 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 very few close friends I care about. And I care about you. And I can't have someone that I care about making the decisions you're making. I don't care what these other people do. Because they're just people.
Right.
So it's actually a compliment to you.
You turned it around, yeah. You spun that one
but
good.
I don't need a lot of friends. I don't need a lot of people. As a matter of fact, Kathy, I didn't go to my high school or college graduation because there were too many people. When I'm networking now, go in these stupid networking groups, and if you're one of the networking groups I'm in, I'm not talking about that one. But when I walk into a networking group and there's more than like 12 people, I'll turn around and walk out. I don't need.
Tell me the feelings that come over you.
I want genuine relationships.
Go on.
I'm all about quality.
So would you say that when you walk into a room and there's more than 12 there, you're able to pick up on whether the people are authentic or not?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Would you say that you can pick up on
You're so good.
honesty and what was the other word you said? You said authentic and you said something else.
Quality. No, I know.
I can't remember the word.
Gosh, neither can I. I'll come up with it though.
But when you walk in, see, my take on this is that you're using your
Genuine.
gifts, and you're reading the group. And you're not going to find many groups you want to go into because you're an empath, and the energy of that many people you haven't learned how to totally control. And sometimes it's not even worth trying to control, depending on the group. And that's what you're feeling, I think.
That's pretty good. I think you may be right there. I detest. Yeah, that's a good word. Detest. It's a strong word.
Yes.
Fake.
Uh-huh.
To the point where I'm a little crazy about it, and you can tell me, you can talk me off the ledge. I think one of the way I judge whether someone is a genuine, for real person through social media is anyone whose response to if someone posts, I'm having this problem or I'm sick, or first of all, I don't like posting that type of stuff. And I don't think people should post that type of stuff, but people do. Okay? And anyone whose response to a negative post like that is just the prayer emoji with no words, to me, that's just not genuine. To me, that's why even bother?
It's like the phrase, how are you today, right? Yeah. It's useless.
Yeah.
Why do we ask it if we don't want the answer?
So, I mean, I don't mind the prayer emoji, but with a message. Hey, you know what? Every problem I've had, I've come out stronger. Praying for you. Something as simple as that. But to just put up the prayer emoji, to me, that's just like, yeah, just like you said. It's an insult.
Who was the first inauthentic person you can remember in your life?
Oh, heck, they're not worth my memory.
Okay. So you've had a lot of experience with inauthentic people.
I think most people are. And
are inauthentic?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's not saying anything bad about them. I think they're inauthentic because they're trying to make themselves feel better.
And why is that?
Because I see that as a sign of weakness. I see that as a sign of they're not confident
in them
about how genuine they are. And they're telling you straight out, I'm not genuine. I mean, they're telling you, I'm not genuine. Let me tell you, like when I was sick in the hospital, I had some people write some real nice messages to me. And I appreciate every single one of those. The people that just had the prayer emoji, I'll be I appreciated it, that they were thinking of me, but I knew that that's someone I'm not going to be able. I don't list that person as part of my circle. And that's not an insult to that person. It's not bitterness. It's just fact.
Right. And what is your belief that causes just the emoji to be so offensive?
Because I think they're doing it for themselves.
Okay. So people post an emoji for themselves.
Yeah.
Explain more.
I think it makes them feel like they're caring, in air quotes. When the truth of the matter is, they might not even know they don't care. But by posting that emoji, to me, you're showing you don't really care. I mean,
it's like,
that's why I appreciated the thought. But as a matter of fact, I'll tell you what I told the nurses in that hospital. Once the nurses, I told them I had no help. I was single, lived alone, had no help. And what I was really saying, the truth of the matter was, I wasn't going to accept help. And
you weren't going to accept help?
No, from other people. And I was not stupid. And I understood that even the people that wanted to help, that was going to wear off. That was going to wear off after a week or two when I got out of the hospital. So I knew that once I got out of the hospital, there were going to be certain types of people. People that genuinely cared, that I knew that 3 weeks from now, they're still going to care.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other group of people that for a week or two might be willing to do things, but then I'd be a hassle after that. And there's nothing wrong.
I understand.
With them thinking that.
Mm-hmm.
So I would tell the nurses that, A, I'm not going to accept it, but if I were to accept help, I've got the group of people I can really count on. I'm saving those people because they'll care a month from now.
Mm-hmm.
These people, I got maybe a week.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, that's an interesting way to look at it.
It is. It is an interesting way of looking at it.
The prayer people, I knew I couldn't even the prayer emoji people, I knew I couldn't even count on them for a ride home from the hospital.
So this is a judgment. It is an unconscious belief, no doubt. There's unconscious beliefs that's also contributing to this one. So what if it was would it matter what emoji it was? Could it have been a heart and you'd feel the same way?
Feel exactly the same way.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure.
I feel exactly the same way. And once again, not complaining.
I know.
And people have every right, and I did appreciate at least they cared enough to fake it.
Have you ever that you can recall sent just an emoji as a response?
No.
Okay, that's what I was checking for.
As a matter of fact,
it's rude, huh?
As a matter of fact, any response I'm going to send to a post like that is going to be a direct message because it's not meant for the world, as far as I'm concerned. And I hate getting into Facebook rules, but there are certain things that should be private.
Right.
And my genuine response to a message like that would be a direct message saying, hey, I don't want to make this public, but what are you going through? What can I do? I'm here for you. Mm-hmm. I don't need, as a matter of fact, there's a little bit of me that feels like anyone who responds that way publicly has a little look at me type in them.
Getting attention.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Boy, that Mark, he sure does. He cares. Look at that. I don't need people to know that. Mm-hmm. That's why, we've talked about this on this podcast before, my Special Olympics work.
Right.
I'm very conflicted when I post something from a Special Olympics event because I don't want people going to my Facebook page, seeing me post Special Olympics, thinking I'm posting, hey, look at what Mark's doing. Look at Frito. He's so good with those kids. That's not what I'm doing at all. The only reason I'm posting anything is, one, is that maybe if you see my post, it'll encourage you to get involved.
Right.
And two, the kids love it.
Right.
I wish you could. Well, you could.
See their faces.
Next basketball tournament or something I coach, I'd like to invite you to the hotel.
I'd love to come.
And watch what the kids do because I'll take a picture and...
post it.
And they're like, post it, coach, post it.
Sweet. That is sweet.
But my radar I may be too sensitive to stuff like that, but...
You're not too sensitive. You have a gift. You have what I call a metaphysical gift. It's being an empath, and you probably have others. Every empath is different. Yes, empaths have general characteristics, but each empath has their own unique set of gifts. And we need to understand empaths better because it is the child, oh, you're being too sensitive. Stop that. And the child's being told that by people that aren't empaths. So it damages the child, and the adults don't mean to, but they do.
Mm-hmm. Okay, except I've never been accused of being sensitive.
You never have been accused of being too sensitive?
No.
Have you ever been accused of overreacting?
There may be a different word. No.
Have you ever been accused of
I'm sure I have.
knowing something?
Wait, time out. I'm sure I've been accused of overreacting, but I don't overreact. If I've been accused, it's very few and far between. As a matter of fact, I hope you see it. Maybe you haven't seen it. I'm very good in a crisis.
Quick.
Because I don't overreact. I'm very calm. As a matter of fact, the more you overreact,
the less, more control you keep.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. You hold the space is what
Yes.
that's called.
That's how it's called.
You're holding the energetic space for the person so that you can try to bring them out of the anxiety.
I've actually been accused more of being the opposite, which may
creating chaos.
It may be it may be so far around that it's the same. I've been accused of underreacting. Because my whole attitude is, first of all, spiritually, what matters here doesn't matter.
Right.
Anything on earth doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. It's number one. Number two, I'm always the one that is the one in the room saying, oh my gosh, 5 years from now, none of this stuff that we're debating is going to make a difference.
Mm-hmm. So why do we waste our time on it?
Yeah. Yeah, so if there's any weakness I have, it may be that I don't overreact. I very much underreact.
So what did you do? Did your parents or family members fight in the abusive way?
Whoa, what do you mean by abusive? Physical?
Yeah, like they were alcoholics, or have you ever been around that type of a deal?
No, but
where people fight.
No. I mean, me and my brothers fought, but like brothers.
Yeah, that's...
My parents would yell and scream at each other, but nothing that
Could
the
you
police
tell
would be
when they
called.
were getting close to being in a fight?
Oh, I could tell. They fought in front of us.
Uh-huh.
Which is another thing I would never do if I was a parent.
Right.
But we knew all the problems they had. Mm-hmm. Because they didn't hide it.
And could you tell when a fight was mounting?
Oh, yeah.
Before it broke out?
Yeah, that was pretty much all the time.
Uh-huh. And see, that's a gift. Not everyone can do that. Not everyone can sense
Well, in my
that.
house, it was pretty easy because I always felt bad for my dad because, we weren't poverty, but we were paycheck to paycheck, definitely. Mm-hmm. And my poor dad was trying to raise 3 sons that ate a ton on one salary.
Wasn't that his job, though?
Still.
Yeah, it can be hard.
Yeah. I still felt bad for him. Mm-hmm. Didn't get too much help from the rest of the family, including his spouse.
Uh-huh. So he had to do everything.
Yeah.
So do you think that...
And they fought quite a bit, but they loved each other. They've been married over 50 years.
Yeah. The... Go ahead if you got something. I lost
Is this like
mine.
a session with you? Are these?
Similar.
Okay.
When I'm in session with someone, they have an intent. They've come in with a problem, so it goes a little faster, and we get to the core of something that they have a realization about, and they see things differently. But yeah, it's similar.
I mean, I don't want to just talk about me unless it's...
No, I would say that this is helping people understand how to look at things and how to question things and the different angles to look at. No, I think it could be very helpful to people. Because usually the same kind of problems that a person has is similar to other people's stuff.
Yeah.
Very similar.
That's another thing I believe is there's probably better words for it. If I was a better communicator, I could probably do what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. I don't even know if you'd have to be a better communicator because I think you're already doing it, and especially with the kids.
But the words I choose, like I was going to say that I think it's kind of cocky for people who are going through problems to believe they're the only ones that have ever had that problem.
Oh, but that's such a common, and especially the more infant level someone is on the emotional healing path, the more beginner they are, the more they think that. They think they're the only one. Everything's all about me. But that's a phase everybody goes through.
And to me, I think part of getting through a problem, it really helps to understand you're not the only one that's ever had this problem. And there are people who have survived that problem. As a matter of fact, pretty much 100% of the people who have that problem survive that problem, no matter what the problem is. It could be the worst problem in the world.
Right.
And it's not, some people don't survive it. But that is such a small...
Yes.
I mean, think of any problem you could have. Think about how many other people have had that problem. And think about the percentages of people that came out of that problem better off than they were when they went into it. And then on a morbid level, you're going to live. It's not going to kill you unless it does.
Right.
And once you understand that, that's, like another thing about my family, I was the only one willing to ride roller coasters.
Oh.
Everyone was scared. And there's lots of people, and it makes a lot of sense. Why would you volunteer to put yourself on a machine that's going to go upside down? I understand that. But
it's also a diversion technique to keep from experiencing emotion flow through your body very fast.
And the way I overcome that type of fear is I think there have been 1 million people that have ridden this roller coaster. They all survived. If they can do it, I can do it.
I'll never forget my first ride. I forgot how old I was, but I was old. And because I couldn't, they scared me to death. There's no way I can ride that. But when I read in a book, and the guy said, anyone that cannot ride a roller coaster with their eyes open and their hands up in the air, the whole, on the hills and everything, he said they're a very, I can't remember now exactly the words he used, but the implication was they're a very uptight person that needs to relax and let go.
Insecure, not trusting, can't let go.
Very much of a controller too, because you're controlling your out.
I mean, you're not an experimental astronaut.
Right.
You're not walking on the moon. You're doing something millions of other people have done and survived.
But it's scary. See, it feels scary when you're on there if you're not open and willing to take change. And I remember forcing myself to do it, just kind of like what you said. Everybody else has done this. Why can't I do it and enjoy it?
Yeah.
Even got a picture, so I had proof that I'd done it. They happened to take them. I didn't know they were taking them, but right when we were topping the hill and I had my hands up.
Okay, because I'm at the tail end of amusement parks. This is a way squirrel moment, but where they take those pictures.
Oh,
and
I don't know about.
For the last couple of years, I went to amusement parks. I used to like knowing where that camera was, so that I would ride it twice. So the second time around, I could have a goofy looking face, or I could pose for the picture.
Oh, wow. Well, that was thinking ahead.
Yeah. It's just me.
You wanted a good picture from
way I operate. So there. I do have another topic.
Okay, good. What is it?
Coming up in the next episode, I want to talk about how I wish everyone could be like me.
Okay. That would be a great one. All
right. That's the Soul Finder. Please share this episode and these podcasts with your friends, with your family. We do have a 24/7 online audio stream where Kathy's built quite a library. As a matter of fact, Kathy doesn't even know this, but I've started putting your podcast, an archive of the podcast, on that streaming page too. Because you pointed this out earlier this week. I'm having issues with memory because we've posted so many of these things. which is a very good problem to have.
Yes.
As far as I'm concerned.
Yes.
I wish I was the one that discovered it, not you. But anyways, go to the Soul Finder podcast on FreedomNation.com, or better yet, go to KathyDCarter.com, and she's got a link to podcast and a good complete bio of her story, and it's fascinating. It really is.